Chuck Schumer made clear last night that there is a leadership vacuum in the Democratic Party. His willingness to bend the knee to Donald Trump and Elon Musk and Russ Vought and tell them that they can do what they want with our government, they can do what they want with our democracy, shows that we need new leadership in the Democratic Party. We need people who are willing to fight. We need people who are not going to say one thing and then act differently. And that leadership is actually coming from the state of New York. AOC, after Chuck Schumer's decision, made incredibly clear the fight that she would be bringing to Donald Trump, not just in Congress, but in the Democratic caucus itself, making sure that her fellow Democrats are on board with fighting this fascist in every way we possibly can. And with all of that, Donald Trump had a pretty insane response on Truth Social, and we are going to cover it all. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really does mean a lot to me. Now, before we get into what Donald Trump posted on Truth Social, let's take a listen to AOC's response to Chuck Schumer.
What do you say to the counter argument of like a government shutdown hurts the country, hurts the people you represent? From Queens and the Bronx.
Absolutely, and that is why House Democrats have laid out a plan, as well as several Senate Democrats laid out a plan to keep government open for another 30 days as Republicans negotiate a deal with Democrats in order to have an extended government funding bill.
But the House would have to come back into session, right?
But House Democrats are in town. We're afraid of working? Is that the problem here? That the idea that, God forbid, members of Congress have to fly back and do their jobs? Okay. Genuinely, come on.
So Chuck Schumer, I guess the Senate Democratic leader, your senator, said at this meeting that he is going to vote for cloture. He is going to vote to allow there to be a simple majority vote. You think that's wrong?
I believe that's a tremendous mistake. Yes.
Why?
I think, well, first and foremost, the American people, if anyone has held a town hall or has seen what has been happening in town halls, American people, whether they are Republicans, independents, Democrats, are up in arms about Elon Musk and the actual gutting of federal agencies across the board. This continuing resolution codifies much of this chaos that Elon Musk is wreaking havoc on the federal government. It codifies many of those changes. It sacrifices and completely eliminates congressional authority in order to review these impulsive Trump tariffs that he's switching on and off. And on top of that, for folks who are concerned about effectiveness in government, this Republican extreme spending bill removes all of the guardrails and all of the accountability measures to ensure that money is being spent in the way that Congress has directed for it to be spent. This turns the federal government into a slush fund for Donald Trump and Elon Musk. It sacrifices congressional authority, and it is deeply partisan. And so to me, it is almost unthinkable why Senate Democrats would vote to hand the few pieces of leverage that we have away for free when we've been sent here to protect Social Security, protect Medicaid, and protect Medicare.
You have expressed opposition to government shutdowns in the past. Here's your very first speech on the House floor.
It is not normal to shut down the government when we don't get what we want. It is not normal for public servants to run away and hide from the public that they serve. And it is certainly not normal to starve the people we serve for a proposal that is wildly unpopular among the American people.
Now, I get that you hate this continuing resolution. You don't think it's a good bill, but the alternative is likely a government shutdown.
Well, the alternative is to agree on a 30-day stopgap to keep government open as negotiated. The proposal is in front of the House. The proposal is on the Senate. Republicans had time to seek Democratic votes, and we can extend that time for them to seek that vote. Once again, we can come back. We can fly back. We can vote on this. We can get a stopgap measure, extend the amount of time to negotiate while we figure out a solution here for the American people. And I also agree, again, I maintain that position that government shutdowns, we can keep the government open with a 30-day clean CR. And on top of that, I also maintain the position that government officials and public servants should not be hiding from the public the way that Republicans are hiding and being instructed to not host town halls right now because of the outrage among the American public around their attempts to cut Social Security, Medicaid, and Medicare.
I am sure many of y'all felt the same way that I did last night. Distraught, betrayed, angry, upset. But I also felt the sense that it's our time to act. That if there is going to be this leadership vacuum, we can fill it with people who really do want to fight. AOC is certainly one of those people. We need Democratic leadership that is meeting this moment. We need Democratic leadership that recognizes the Trump threat and treats him accordingly. And Chuck Schumer did not do that last night. He gave his reasoning saying that he believed if we did not fund the government, it would give Donald Trump greater power to act with impunity. But if you cede ground to him and treat him as a legitimate president, you're doing the same thing, which is why Donald Trump wrote this Truth Social post. Trump wrote, "Congratulations to Chuck Schumer for doing the right thing. Took guts and courage. The big tax cuts, LA fire fix, debt ceiling bill, and so much more is coming. We should all work together on that very dangerous situation. A non-pass would be a country destroyer. Approval will lead us to new heights. Again, really good and smart move by Senator Schumer. This could lead to something big for the USA, a whole new direction and beginning." Just openly mocking us at this point. Openly mocking us. And we saw the House Judiciary Twitter account say that Chuck Schumer had caved. It was a big win for Donald Trump. They think he's a joke. That's what that tells me. And well, we can't have leaders that aren't respected. We can't have leaders that aren't going to fight like we need them to. We understand the moment that we're in. We need every Democrat to understand it as well. And someone who clearly does in the Senate, Senator Bernie Sanders, had some really important thoughts on not only what we need to be doing in our caucus, but how we need to be messaging more broadly. And I want to take a listen to that right here.
Senator, first, I just want to ask you about the continuing resolution. You just heard Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer saying he's going to essentially vote for cloture tomorrow, make sure that this bill can get an up or down vote and thereby pass, because Republicans will pass it, keep the government open. What is your position on this?
I'm strongly going to vote no. I think the American people are sick and tired of Elon Musk, the richest guy in the world, running around slashing Social Security, veterans programs that Republicans are moving for massive tax breaks for the rich and cutting Medicaid and nutrition, moving us to oligarchy and authoritarianism. You got to draw a line. And I think the American people are prepared to stand with those of us who say that, you know what, we're a government of the people, by the people, for the people, not the oligarchy. And we're not going to give tax breaks to billionaires and take food away from hungry kids. You got to stand up. You got to fight back. You got to go into the streets. You got to rally the American people. I think you can win millions of people, Republicans, Democrats, independents, who really do not like the direction in which this country is now going.
I want to just offer the argument the Senate Minority Leader made, which is that the consequences of a shutdown, as bad as things are now, would be even worse because it would essentially hand even more authority to Musk vote Trump to slash away.
That assumes that there is no resistance. That assumes that millions of people are not standing up and saying, you know what, we're a democracy, not an authoritarian society. Don't undo the Constitution of the United States. You're not going to throw 83,000 workers off the Veterans Administration. You're not going to cut the Social Security staff so that elderly people will die while they're waiting to get the benefits that they paid into. You're not going to take food away from hungry kids. If you do nothing, you sit back and you say it is going to be terrible. And that's right. A shutdown will be terrible. But our job is to put the onus on the Republican president, the Republican House, the Republican Senate, the people who control the government. They are responsible. They've acted in an undemocratic, unprecedented, unilateral way. They've given us an offer, take it or leave it. That ain't the way democracy works.
I'm curious what your experience has been like in these events you've been doing. I saw you did one in Nebraska in Representative Don Bacon's district around Omaha. You did a few. I did think one in Kenosha, one in Altoona. What these events have been like?
They've been extraordinary, Chris. You know, I ran for president. We had very large turnouts. But in a non-campaign moment, to go to Michigan and find 9,000 or 10,000 people, working class people, coming out was, far exceeded our expectations. And I think what that tells me is, and that was primarily a working class group of people, that tells me people are sick and tired of Trumpism. Nobody thinks that it's okay for the richest guy in the world to do what he is doing. People are afraid of the future of Social Security. Musk has called Social Security a Ponzi scheme. Trump has lied about all of the people 200 years of age who are getting Social Security benefits. They're trying to undermine faith in Social Security, which is the most popular and important program the government runs. People understand that. And what they want is us to fight back and defeat this trend toward oligarchy, authoritarianism, and inequality.
I want to ask about a piece of Senate business today. A committee you sit on, if I have this correct, I think it was HELP, was going to have a confirmation hearing for the nominee to run the CDC under Donald Trump, a former Republican congressman. He was withdrawn just before the hearing happened. I'm not quite sure. He seems like he has kind of the same basically anti-vax disposition as Bobby Kennedy at HHS. Do you have a clearer read on what's going on there?
I think what he indicated is that he, I guess, thought that he might not have the votes, or the administration thought he might not have the votes on the committees. 1 or 2 Republicans would have voted against him.
This can be a moment of real change. This can be a moment in which we really fight back if we want it. And I want to see Democrats who really want it, who really want to fight back. And we are going to be uplifting those voices and that fight on this show as much as we possibly can. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button. You can leave a like on this video. And if you stuck around to the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.